All right, we don't. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Shut up.
Roll 5. Now, the part that followed was a phantasmagoria unlike any in the history of justice. A very high level of tension pulsed through the walls. Already, all the witnesses that Robert Slauson had called to the stand made up a circus ring freak show, but it was yet to get worse. The judge, by this time, was becoming very annoyed with Mr. Slauson and Mr. Oppenheimer, who had no reason to be taking care of Gary Carr's child. So now this is another thing that's brought against my character, is that I've been taking care of somebody else's child that doesn't belong to me, and I shouldn't have custody of them in the first place. So that's what I'm in trouble for now. Especially since he was no longer married to Cecilia, and by law, custody of the child was not his. Because remember, she got full custody of both my kids, but she gave me the retard because she didn't want him. But that's still not that's not a legal proceeding. She just gave me the child. Several issues were surfacing in the trial. Are you paused?
It's going.
Several issues were surfacing in the trial that were not brought to the court's attention beforehand. How was Gregorius to defend Cecilia if her lawyer was admitting to assault during the midst of the prosecution on Reverend Schwartz? Besides, the jury was mostly Methodist and born-again Christians, so they already favored the televangelist. The case would have worked better for Roberic if Willie Nelson said something that made sense. But you win some, you lose some. Shit. Now the charges of F. Hunat, Cecilia, and those on behalf of Arthur Hanfordhire's murder had passed through the trial with little to no resolve in any facet. The next charge was very important to bringing down the defense. It was against Robert Slauson. Klaus called Dr. Weathersbury to the stand. Dr. Weathersbury, good afternoon. You look drunk? I am slightly. Go ahead. Do you know by any chance the defense attorney? Yes, he came into my office about 4 weeks ago. Why did he go into your office? Because he was requesting confidential information concerning you. Me? Yes, he had come on behalf of, undoubtedly, Mr. Schwartz. Why wouldn't he just ask me? Probably because he wasn't looking for the kind of information you flaunt. He went almost every day to Henry Wolfsheim's office threatening your life this past month. And how do you know this? We both work for your wife. Therefore, we correspond on cases that involve common patients of ours. Thank you, Dr. Weathersbury, that's all. Schwartz is a racist commie, fuck! Sit down, Clark. Move on, Klaus. I'd like to call Norman Rockwell, Jr. to the stand. You're joshing me. Not even being sarcastic. Bailiff, please sit down. Klaus, I need my bailiff. I just need him for a minute, okay, Greg? Fine. Do you live under rent from Clark R. Weathersbury? Yes. Were you there when Robert Slauson was at his office? Yes. I had to physically remove him from the premises. He didn't have an appointment. One should think not, a big irresponsible buffoon like Slauson. Objection, Your Honor. Harassment. Sustained. Norman, stand up. This examination is over. Wait! One more. I'd like to ask Roberic himself a few questions, by George. What? I'm calling Roberic to the stand. Now, a number of people had been questioned, and the trial was just climax after climax, so as soon as the questioning of Roberic Slauson was complete, Judge Gregor ordered a continuation, because the case had become too huge to deal with on that single occasion. But the following questions were important to the ruling eventually. Mr. Slauson, do you know whom I work for? No. Have you ever been to New Jersey? No. What about New York? Once when I was 6. So you've never been to the Armin Gorman Building in New York City. Do you know what the Armin Gorman Building is? It is the executive headquarters of Reese Icer Snake Mach-Easy, I believe. You believe. It's a pretty famous building. Do you think you know, or just believe? All right, I know. It's on TV all the time. Jesus, get to the point. No, I've never been to the building. Well, I work for Reese Icer Snake. You went to my doctor. For dirt, why not to my boss? I don't know your boss, and I didn't go for dirt. I went to investigate the safety of my client's children. Who would be my daughter and a silkworm? It doesn't matter. Aphid child, aphid child, aphid. Jesus shitfuck is not an aphid. Watch your mouth, Roberic. My boss is Felix Gorman and Neil Armin. That clear things up for you? I spit on your grave. You'll have a stroke before I hit the earth, hunchback. This court file... That's a stab at Robert Greene. The court files continuation and is adjourned. Section 2 of the trial. Date, 1980, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the month of January.
Was that when Dave Hampton called it off?
No, this is all written in the hospital the first time. The skit is something a long time ago. That's a long time ago.
I was there for that.
Most people were. So the trial stood as such. Klaus was being charged with assault on G. Gunter Schwartz, because I punched him in the face, and illegal possession of Frederick Hundat, who had been claimed to Gary Carr III. by word of a giant fish named Frigman. This was not good for Klaus because he was trying to convict Schwartz of several felonies. Now everything is about to get really convoluted, so bear with me, okay? The court had originally supported Oppenheimer, who at this point was responsible for the court's existence. However, he was accusing Pigface of murdering Arthur Hanfordshire, attempted murder of Cecilia Collenmere and F. Hundat Oppenheimer, and sending his lawyer to Clark Weathersbury and the offices of Armin Gorman to blackmail Klaus. But Klaus had attacked Gunter and broken into his house and falsely accused Gary Carr III of abandonment. Unfortunately, Klaus had only bought the Kangaroo Court a 2-week extension on their rulings, so when Gregorius scheduled the reassembly a week later, the courthouse, theoretically, would be defunct. So Klaus had to take a frickin' Greyhound all the way to Washington, D.C. to appeal to Ronald Reggae about another extension. Ronald, who had succumbed to Klaus's boy-like charm before him, was not easily convinced. In fact, he denounced the Kangaroo Court and made a law called the Milwaukee Act of 1980, stating that all state courts in Wisconsin would be seized by the federal government and that the Kangaroo Court would be subject to 0 extensions before its nullification. Congress wouldn't pass the bill and instead granted a 1-week extension to the ruling validity that should occur within the courthouse. So he made the law, but they didn't pass it. Everything seemed fine except for the trip back. As Klaus passed through the town of Racine, he ran into a traffic jam that was being caused by a familiar foe. The whippist Leecher was dropping another scorpion bike. This is one of my favorite parts of the books. This is an illustration of Leecher dropping a scorpion into the street. You'll notice that the buildings in the background are named Butt Shop, Ass Store, Crack Butt Town, and Lord Assy of Cambridge. That's a person dropping it. Yeah. It says, into the center of an intersection when Klaus took the photograph on January 8th, 1980. Leecher, Racine, Illinois, March 8th, 3 o'clock p.m., 1980. When Klaus returned to the Kangaroo Court on March 10th, he came with new charges against Carl and Leecher, who were, as he said, at large, and fat too. The assembly began at 12 p.m. that Sunday, March 10th. Mr. Oppenheimer, you may begin. Thank you, Your Honor. In conjecture with my recent allegations against the defense attorney, Mr. Slauson, who was under oath, claimed to never have seen the Armin Gorman building in New Jersey, therefore I call Mr. Neil Armin himself to the stand. Good day, people. May your day be blessed. Let's just get to the point, right? It would be luscious. So, Neil, have you ever seen Mr. Slauson before? Indubitably. This lawyer, however respected he stands, is a wolf to the heart, unfortunately. And this exact man is one of security's cameras waltzing into Felix Gorman's office, requesting records on Klaus J. Oppenheimer, so I guess so, Hessel, that he verifies his visit to Dr. Weathersbury. That question is, my friends, is why, in the hebble would Robert Slauson be seeking out dirty information on Klaus J. Oppenheimer a month before the court date? How did he know that Klaus, who he had never met, would be defending Cecilia Collenmere? Because, you see, I've pre-calculated the answer here, fortunately for your weary voice, Klauso. Because Robert Slauson knew that Arthur Hanfordshire was going to die, and that the next in line was either her ex-husband or that fucking quarterback. What's his name? Judd Fathlenrich. Yes! That bozo Fathlenrich. If she was forced to choose Fathlenrich, she would undoubtedly lose the case. That's incredible. I'm not remotely finished! Fathlenrich doesn't know his ass from a castle, and Slauson knows this. He could beat Judd within an inch of his life if he were a mute dwarf. But it didn't work. You failed twofold. Not only did you come to the wrong place, but you allowed modern technology to record you entering the building. You offended me and Felix by expecting us to turn over our backs on Klaus. You had invaded the offices of Clark Weathersbury and refused to leave. You are a little weenus bitch. And you and your client should be expelled from this planet post-haste. And frankly, Your Honor, if you ask me, it is of utmost necessity as a measure of national but moreover state security that both Mr. Schwartz and his lawyer be apprehended in the most intense possible fashion. Well, I think that says, and I recommend to all Baptist freaks to reconsider your modern prophet and perhaps entertain the possibility that Reverend Schwartz is a homicidal lunatic and intensely sick in the head. And just for good measure, Reverend, sit on this. And then before the whole court's witness, he slowly raised his middle finger. There were no further questions for Neil Armin. The case had become very grim for Mr. Slauson, whose only defense remained that Klaus had attacked Gunter during a Saturday night mass. Now the question came into play of why Schwartz had been held in jail prior to the court date, and this led way back to Henry Wolfsheim, who had followed the man to jail. So, Henry had told Klaus that he was going to have a special witness, but Henry didn't have time to explain who, so Klaus called the name on the card to the stand and began questioning someone he had never seen before in his life. And god damn it, see the continuation. And there's this little picture of a pond. Yay! Then it says the Phantasmagoria. Then it's blank. Then it says I love Beryl. Then it says I said wild straw granite. See next page. I love Beryl Grossbard. So what was about to happen was not very good for the kangaroo court. Julio Epren, please rise before the court. Gracias, Senor Oppenheimer. Please speak in English. This is America, for Christ's sake. I was getting confused. Thank Jesus you cleared things up. I said English. It's... Oh, I fucked that line. Whatever. Norman, get off it. Go ahead, Klaus. So, Mr. Epren, in what way, Mr. Epren, which one of who are you? I'm the one who turned Reverend Pig into jail. Why is that? Well, because he tried to run me down at the White Hen. That's why. He was calling me a derogatory terms out the window at me. He leads the KKK. He is one violent smiling. Come again? A violent smiling? It's intense, Gregor. Klaus, who the hell is this clown? This assay clown. This proverbial fool rocket. Fool rocket? If it weren't for this fine young man, Schwartz and his disloyal bandits would be back in Mississippi, and they would not ever come here. Well, I suppose you are correct in this totally inappropriate contradiction. Your Honor, there was nothing inappropriate about what Klaus said. I know. I can deal with being wrong. I'm the goddamn judge here. Proceed if you must, Mr. Oppenheimer. Well, finally, Your Honor, I would like to charge Carl and Leecher, who are not present, with the responsibility of placing tricycles disguised as scorpions in the intersections throughout Milwaukee and Racine. God damn them to hell! I've been late for work every fucking day because of the scorpions. The EPA passed a bill to protect the what? The species, and they're just tricycles. Well, Your Honor, I have a photograph here of Leecher in the process of placing a tricycle in the road somewhere in Racine. However, Mr. Oppenheimer, this is Kohlenmeyer versus Schwartz, not you versus anybody you feel like. Well, Your Honor, better to kill two birds with one stone than waste all your rocks. Are they stones or rocks? Quit changing your story. Your Honor, Leecher is here. Ask Pigface himself. We're moving on here, people. I haven't got all goddamn week. Any further questions for Mr. Apron? No, Your Honor. Why was it all happening over again? He was suffering from the ignorance of the Milwaukee Justice Department, and all because of Gunter Schwartz. Pause the tape.
We're recording again, so do this.
And then you just flash at him.
Or you could, hey, we're recording.
Okay, right now?
Yeah.
Okay. First picture, Cecilia Kohlenmeyer with a group of photographers, 1979, Côte d'Ivoire, Africa. Barbara Keensley looks at her angelic physique with envy. That's Barbara Keensley in the background, staring at Cecilia.
Okay, under the militants?
They're in Africa, okay? I don't care. Above, Phoebe Oppenheimer on Granny Kohlenmeyer's farm in Huntley, Illinois. Left is Detective Harrison George, 21 years after the trial. Below is Neil Armin and Felix Gorman. Those are the guys from the thing. Leecher is the far right, hunting waterfowl with his son, Diedrich Horpley. Left is defense attorney Robert Slauson overlooking medical records.
Wait, did you,
Well, there's a lot of them. Left is a very drunk Dr. Clark Weathersbury harassing a Chinese couple July 24th, 1985 near Milwaukee. He's dressed like Santa Claus. Look at this woman. Like, oh my God. Left is Klaus J. Oppenheimer, Esquire, age 59, holding a big-ass cricket named Budapest. Below is an earlier picture of Dr. Henry Wolfsheim with extract of Psychofat, 1976. That's Holly's character. Above, Frigmerm. Above, Jesus Shitfuck Schwartz. Left is a bear playing on a drum. Below is a leopard. Above is the 102nd person to be born with crisis mutagenesis Haley-Chart syndrome. Her name's Chartreuse Azure. Those are just two colors. There are two beavers in this picture. Nudge, nudge. Klaus J. Oppenheimer and Lily Stuba in 1983 after the divorce. That's me and the doctor. Right is Harold Kangaroo, the owner of the courthouse. Left is an overweight beaver. That's Dr. Clark Weathersbury outside the hospital where F. Hundat was born. That's his car. Adam Seffler's character. Phoebe Oppenheimer revisiting her grandmother's farm in Huntley. Here's an early picture of Lily Stuba, 1974. The doctor. Above is someone resembling Sean Penn. Above is Julio Epren, 1979. That's the only picture of it. To the left is Cecilia Kohlenmeyer with Reverend Schwartz's father, Peter Jens Schwartz. That's two of them. Left is Gary Carr with his boyfriend Buzz. Buzz, that's Gary Carr, outside of 7-Shot 8 hair cuttery. Left is massive destruction caused by beavers. Below is Carl the Whipping Boy. Here's a very early photograph of Reverend G. Gunter Schwartz in a coal mine in Mississippi, his native state. John Black's character. Yeah? I have no idea what it is or where I found it.
What's that monkey doing?
Killing some guy's hand.
That's some bizarre shiznit.
Yeah.
It's just a monkey in a suit shaking some guy's hand.
Fucking sand, man.
Here is pictured on his wave runner is Gary Carr, the true father of
Hey, watch out there, buddy. That's my seat.
That's Parker's character. Boom. Judge Gregorius Exxon Hochstetler throws in the towel as a kindergarten class watches from the shore of Lake Superior in 1981. That's where I got from. At left is the 11 frogs used by Drs. Wolfsheim and Weathersbury to try and poison Reverend Schwartz. This picture here is a 1975 picture of Frederick Hundot Oppenheimer before his operation. Although his parents are both white, he seems to be black and retarded and cross-eyed. Your guess is as good as mine. To the left is Abraham Circo, who witnessed many of the 1993 Carl and Leecher murders. That's coming up later in the novel. Above, we have Henry Wolfsheim testifying 14 years later against the Carl and Leecher murders of which he was a witness. To the left, a mysterious desert cat.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
Three women who worked for the Colenmare firm. Far left is Sandy Ratchford, middle is Cecilia's mom, and on the right is Cecilia's sister, Sarah Colenmare Huxley. Here's a picture of lovely Cecilia Colenmare and her daughter Phoebe in 1974 on Northwest Boulevard. I have a list now. Northwest Boulevard outside Klaus's office. Flamingos. The woman commonly called Psycho Fat, who in 1983 saved Cecilia from choking to death at a neighborhood KFC. This picture taken after her operation performed by Henry Wolfsheim in 1990.
I like the hard nipples.
Yeah, that's good. They're all misplaced on her tits. Back to the story. There's more illustrations later, but whatever.
Great.
None of those were illustrations.
Hey, what time is it? It's like 5:30.
It's 5:35.
Now, among much distress, Mr. Akron departed the courthouse before the trial had been finished. Why his life was a piss bowl of exegesis matzah, Frank Shithair, was not clear, and it appeared at this time that his long-anticipated justice would not arrive. But eventually the court case came to a close, and everyone in this case went away disappointed. In Exxon Hochstetler's words, "In the case of Colenmare versus Schwartz, I find that Reverend Schwartz is guilty of attempted murder of Cecilia and their daughter Phoebe Oppenheimer, and the successful murder of Arthur Haffenshire, and for this he will spend the rest of his life in jail. And as for defense attorney Slauson, you are charged with espionage, and therefore your license is suspended. Klaus, you attacked Reverend Schwartz and broke into his home. You are going to jail for 6 months. Cecilia will be granted all of the exegesis Schwartz estate, and F. Hundot is expected to be returned to Gary Cobb on March 23rd of this year. The court is adjourned." Yes, an unfortunately abrupt ending to drawn-out trial, but the situation was a dangerous one for the courts to handle. Didn't make a difference, though, because 4 days later the courthouse was shut down. Cecilia was outraged by the fact that her ex-husband was put in jail, and moreover that Reverend Schwartz was pardoned from the death penalty, which he rightfully deserved for killing Arthur. Now, the rest of their story, and by their I mean the Oppenheimers, unfolds 6 months later when Klaus is released from jail, and a new trial arises in the vengeful adventure of parties involved, and how Pigface proved more deadly than anyone had expected. Fitful Dioxide. Pigface, Part 4.
That's a picture of.
A shark.
Hey, get away from the microphone so your laugh is as unaudible as possible because it really is annoying.
Okay. This is the end here.
You're aware your little brother just took off, right?
Yeah, where'd he go?
Down the stairs or something?
Alright.
All right,
He
let's go.
wasn't going too far. I thought he was just going too far.
You should probably go take it.
Could you please do
Well, I'm in the summit, so.
Hey, how's it going?
I walked out, so.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Why? Hard?
I'm not really supposed to be talking to you guys, so.
Well, shit. Show up.
So anyways, be good, okay? Did you get your money?
Well, not yet. They said they'd give it to me tonight.
Hey, listen, are you going to finish your summit?
Am I in my summit?
Are you going to finish?
Am I in my summit?
You
He's
said
not
you
in
walked
it.
out.
Am I in? Okay, so does that mean?
Listen, maybe you don't seem to understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay, maybe I should let you in on a little secret, right? When you walk out of the summit, you really don't intend on finishing the summit. Was Is that clear to anybody else?
So are you
That's clear to me.
Are you going back in?
I walked
My
in.
question is, you damn moron, are you going back in?
So
You want to?
If my eyes not swollen,
We're
I'm
still-
going back in.
We're still recording.
Oh, so you didn't walk out because it was hard.
We have more. Book's almost over.
So
Don't do that. You're gonna get me in trouble.
No, he
You're
unrecorded.
winding over.
He's
so
yeah,
unrecorded.
it's over.
So, but I mean, you're still gonna spin it. That's what. When you said you walked out, I thought you meant like it got too hard, so I'm leaving. Fuck this. I hate this place.
You
And
know
walked
what?
out.
The funny thing is, you're real gullible. Because I walked out and I'm not going back in. And I said that to you 3 times, and then you.
Why?
Oh, it's not.
So tell me all about it. If you don't
Maybe he
think so.
doesn't agree with what's
Hell
going
no,
on.
man. I'm not gonna get you. Fuck no, dude. I'm not gonna be
Just
out
tell
of
me
your
why.
head.
Why?
Did you dance naked? Did you dance naked? Half naked? In your boxers?
Twice. And I got real disgusting when I saw Sheila Claremont naked. It was, I had to leave.
No, they split up the guys and girls. Don't they?
No, they don't.
They don't. They should. Not. Well, I'm not going through with anybody attractive, so I hope they
Try not to rip the
You're
strings off
very
yet.
attractive, Adam. I don't know what you're talking
I'm
about.
attractive.
Other people are attractive.
All right, let's just get back to this and finish it. This is the last part of the drawing. I promise I'm only.
Hey, let's not play guitar.
Adam, you're really helping destroy the thing.
I was really worked up about it. Now I'm not. It's like, straight.
Well, to better times. Right?
Can I go home with you tomorrow?
Sure.
You got an extra plane ticket?
I don't think so. Well, I do have that one for that deaf mute.
You could just break some of your limbs and then just kind of contortion your way into one of the suitcases.
Would that
They're
work?
duffel bags, you nimwit.
Would that work, Peter?
I don't think so.
You don't think?
No.
How about if we try real hard?
We could break your leg right
Too bad
now.
you didn't leave this morning. You could have left
Terrence,
the
right? I don't know.
$108.
If you run,
Hey, so are we gonna do this? We
Wait,
probably
hold
don't
on.
have.
Because he and Robbie like collected money from all the students and they already had some money, and then Robbie just gave it all to him.
if you run really fast, you might catch up to
I
him.
doubt it because he got a ride ahead.
God.
From whom?
Tony Allers.
No, he
I
didn't.
drove him to Bonner State. Did you not?
He's not allowed.
Oh, really? He does everything that he's allowed to do. I don't think he's ever.
You
I
know
don't
what?
think anybody here
Guess what?
ever does
I got
something.
stung in the
like
eye. I got stung in the eye, right? And I had to leave it summer. They made me leave. Dude, seriously.
Listen, alright? I don't understand what kind of sick game you're trying to play with my head, but I'm not like it, alright?
See, that's what you play with me every single day.
No, because
Oh, yeah,
everything
man,
that's true.
everything you do to me.
All right, let's just get back to what we were doing.
Listen,
I
I
can
really
finish
don't
it.
know.
We don't have much time.
Shut up!
Honestly, we don't have much time. I
What
just
time
forgot
is
about
it
that.
here?
6 o'clock.
No, it's 5:40.
Okay.
All right. Well, we need to hurry.
All right, let's go.
Can we do this in 10
Yes.
minutes?
I'm gonna run. Well, I'm probably not gonna run anywhere. I'm reading a
Close
story.
the door, man.
In February 1984, Reverend G. Gunter Schwartz, the monkey killer, escaped from Joliet Prison in Illinois. Klaus, who by that date had almost lost his job 3 times since the Schwartz's trial, had allowed Cecilia to move back in with him and, through an extensive trial, had gained legal custody of F. Hundat and brought him to live at the estate. By 1984, a myriad of things had changed around Milwaukee. Dr. Wolfsheim had stopped seeing Cecil and Carl and Leecher and had not been seen since the Racine incident. Gary Carr and Frigmerm were living together near the hockey rink of Milwaukee, and with Schwartz behind bars, everyone rested assured until this phone call. For the first time in 6 months, Dr. Wolfsheim paid a ring-ding to the Ling Long. In other words, Klaus. Hello, this is Henry Wolfsheim. Is Mr. Oppenheimer there?
Yes,
May I speak to him, Freddie?
it was nice to hear from you, Dr. Wolfsheim.
Likewise, Fred. Hello, this is Klaus. Klaus, it's Henry. Henry! Well, Jesus, pal, I thought you disappeared or something. Are you at the office? No, I'm at Gunther's house. What? What are you doing there? We're investigating, Klaus. Investigating what? Pigface is out of jail, and he's been here. Who's we? Wait, what? You said we're investigating. I'm with Harrison. He'd like you to come down here right away. Klaus, we're both pretty scared. Yeah, sure thing. Should I leave the kids with Cecilia? No, send them to Clark's office. I've already called him. Reverend Schwartz lived in a one-story white stucco home on the other side of Jacket Oil Company in the outskirts of Milwaukee. It was an ugly old house, and even uglier now since no one had been living there for so long. When Klaus arrived, he danced with fright, not because of the decrepidation of the house alone, but that Henry had a terrible, terrible haircut. Harrison was in the backyard in a lawn chair next to Abe Circo, a longtime friend of the late Arthur Handfordshire and a convert from Reverend Schwartz's Progressive Assembly. In the late 70s, Abe had begun to grasp the nature of the Progressive Assembly, which naturally was based on Aryan supremacy. So, he left before in 1981, when Schwartz had all ethnics ousted from the congregation. So unfortunately for Mr. Circo, who was from New Delhi, he knew both Arthur and Pigface very well. Circo discovered that Arthur was killed by Pigface the very day he died. So when he learned of Schwartz's escape, which is what it was, an escape, goddammit, he decided to help the cause. Mr. Oppenheimer, a combination of the atomic bomb's inventor and the Geiger counter used to detect Röntgen's equivalency for radioactivity. Very cute, Abe. It's good to see you again. Harry, what's the story here? Well, Klaus. Now this is the black guy. Well, Klaus, at 6 o'clock p.m. 2 days ago, Pigface escaped from a Joliet transport to Murfreesboro, and Carl was spotted at the house today by Henry. What in the holy finch does that have to do with anything? Because Joliet says Schwartz escaped with 2 men, one in a bunch of rainbow-colored cloths. Carl. Yes, Carl. Harrison lit a cigarette and sat back down next to Abe. I kicked my teeth, I'm so ashamed. Progressive Assembly crumble. Hey, Klaus comforted. You can't be so hard on yourself. Religion can make you do some pretty sick shit. You helped us find this newt, and you'll be doing everyone a favor. The backyard was loud with the nearby oil pumps, and then also the sound of clanking from within the house. Shh! What? Shh! He's inside. Now, who the balls is in the house? This ain't even funny. Could be Pigface. Could be his fuck toys. Would you stop? What? Just stop with all the swears. You make me too all angry. And then the black-haired criminal stood up in the window, wearing no shirt, was Robert Slauson, and Gary Card at this moment pulled up in the driveway. Come out now, Rob. Roberick made a dash for the front door and slammed hastily into Gary's bosom. Hey, watch it, ass-face. I'm holding a shamrock shake. Gary, don't let him in. Don't let him out of the house. I think I sprained my ankle. The whole group met up by the front door. Who is this man? Quiet, Abe. Hi, Rob. You know, your last time I checked your license was suspended, so surely you're not here to work. Do you know who lives here? I haven't got the slightest idea. Free from jail, I see, and already you're snooping around this property. No one lives here anymore. Which would explain why you're lounging around. I'm not lounging, you fag. You better watch your goddamn whistle, Slauson, or I'll... You know what? Fuck you. I'll just borrow Harry's gun and shoot you deader than a solar eclipse. This naturally made no sense whatsoever, but the tension was present ever still. Whatever Roberick had been doing, it was more illegal than what Klaus and Wolfsheim were doing. Now, it is important to understand Roberick's position. Schwartz had met him 13 months earlier and was planning to sue the Oppenheimer estate on account for, well, nothing. But even before he met Cecilia, Schwartz had seen Klaus on television in a court case which won Reese Iser property to create a factory just outside of Jacket Oil, thusly making Schwartz's home and church surrounded by industrial companies, which, of course, is a serene and very public environment for his church. Now, there was no grounds to sue Klaus for decisions made by Armin Gorman halfway across the country, but he honed in on the luscious Cecilia as soon as he could. Roberick had no beef with the Oppenheimers, except that Klaus was ahead of him on the law business. The Kohlenmeyer trial seemed like a good opportunity to boost his career, which, of course, was as corrupt as a Black Sabbath. However, the trial crushed his career, and now it was not only a personal tribulation with Pigface, but with Roberick himself. Why was Klaus so deliciously spectacular? Why was his career so fantastic that he got kudos from former President Reggae? Just talk, people. Christ, I hate the fuck. It's 5:50?
Yes.
Fuck.
One shit.
It was total bullshaft, in Rob's opinion.
Find a good spot to stop.
However, that opinion is not worth spit. 14 minutes south of Jacket Oil is Clark Weathersbury's office. He and Norman Rockwell Jr. were watching pornography in the lobby when Cecilia and her kids showed up. Hey, babe, how's the family? Please turn off the tape, Clark. Oh, hey, F. Hey, Phoebes. Hi, Clark. Hi, Norman. Hello, Norman. It's good to see you. You've lost some weight. Probably all the masturbating I do with Clark. What? I said it's all the plastering of the bark. Oh. Now, kids.
Yes.
I don't want you to get worried, but you'll be staying with Uncle Norm for a couple of days because there is a psychopathic murderer out to kill your mommy and daddy.
I once played cards with Jesus Shitfook.
Cute as a button, Cecil. Now your daddy is helping Officer George and Henry so they can stab that piece of shit to death.
Piece of shids.
Please watch your choice of words, Mr. Rockwell. God damn it, I'm trying to talk here. Norman's had an 1 over the 8, babe. Just excuse it. Try this. No.
Why don't we just talk about something else?
I think that's a wonderful suggestion. Phoebe, please follow me into the office. Norman, will you show Cecilia her room and set Frederick up with a bib? Looks like he spit up or something. F. Hundot had grown to be a sorrier-looking thing than anyone had anticipated, and it was so unfortunate having to take care of him. Of course, he was wall-eyed, so no one ever had to point out his peripheral obstructions, but this hardly made up for his shit bag. Now, Dr. Weathersbury presently came to an impasse. The judge was on the phone requesting records about Reverend Schwartz's for links to his potential whereabouts. However, there was no reason for Gregor to be concerned because he was not investigating the case, or should not have been, rather. In any case, Clark had the records faxed to the abandoned courthouse anyway. The truth of the matter was that after the rulings of the Colenmare case, while in jail, Pigface was re-sentenced after considerations by the state court. This time, the case was revisited by Harold Pritchard Kangaroo, who gave the death penalty to Schwartz, which took about 40 good years of a plausible lifespan. Now, because all files from Henry Wolfsheim's office had been shared by Dr. Weathersbury, Gregor, who could not locate Henry, called Clark. He wanted the psych records to use for Harold Pritchard, who was involved with the feds searching for Schwartz. I really appreciate your gratuity, Clark. This will mean a good deal to Harold. I hope to be of service. Now, how's Norman handling young Cecilia? Very well, Gregorius. By the way, how is Harold? He's very distraught, Clark. He is assured that the monkey killer would be potassium chloridated. Greg, what in God's name are you talking about? The injection, of course. You can't just convert a proper noun into a verb whenever you want. Please, Clark, I can do anything. I'm a judge. But his career would no sooner flourish than I would give birth to a Jewish horseradish. Yes.
We're gonna need to find a stopping spot for these.
But we'll cross that bridge when I damn well feel like it, okay?
Okay. Is that a good spot?
I think it is.
Sure. For 2 full months, Klaus, Henry, and Harrison searched for Gunther, but to no avail. 2 weeks after their run-in with Roberick, he was gone again, and there was nothing anybody could do about it. Such brilliance of the most contemporary genius has been wrath-scathed like a fever whore. The most intricate detail of his mind could not begin to understand the mentality behind people like Carl, Leecher, and Pigface. Yet it could not be so complex, could it? Pause it for a minute. Anybody got a shirt?
I have to unpause it first. It's unpaused.
Nope. Of course. I'm sure Euclid would have had something to say about all this. But for 2 months now, under the protection of Norma Walkwell Jr., had been stricken with sweat awaiting her inevitable murder. And for these same 2 months, Clark was drinking the whole time.
That's a lot of booze.
As for Klaus, he was ridden with anxiety of the maximum capacitoriation. He would also be certain that Gunther would be on the road to find out what his dead ex-wife tasted like on his fucking hibachi. Flucking. In the hot to trot sod fucking mother afternoon. Now, I don't know about you, you little fluger. I don't know about you. But this is a situation faced with tremendous fright. But alas, not Harrison, Henry, or Klaus would be the successor in finding Reverend Schwartz. And get this, you precious moment. He was discovered by the wonderful chemist, Neil Arman, who was in Mississippi endorsing a new headache medicine that would, in 20 years or so, be discovered to as having a link to gonosyphyl herpelides. Now, when Neil was in Mississippi, he ran into a manxome foe at a shit-ass grocery store, that being Carl, whose last name is still up for grabs as far as the populous department of Minneapolis is concerned, which further reminds me of the appointment between Phoebe and Clark that I skipped. So here it is, the dictation on that bitchitation. How does all this make you feel, Phoebe? Scared, lonely, hoagly, what? Stop spoon-feeding me. Hand me that glass, would you? Thanks. No, the other glass. You just said thanks. I meant not to, really. I feel so angry about all this. I'd like to smash his ball township straight into the cunt-fucking equator. That's what I'd like to do. And frankly, Dr. Weathersbury, Those two shit-clit assmongers that he hangs around with can choke on a red onion and have their dicks stapled to a rhino during $50 million waste exposition. Pause it.
All right, don't swing the thing around, damn it.
That's splendid, darling. Haven't you the most graceful mouth? In Mississippi, Neil Armin called Harold Kangaroo, who immediately departed the state in order to personally box Pigface's head inside the outside. And thusly, I'm brought to yet another tragic interpolation that comically rocks the chunky lives of our character, something which involves the reunification of Julio Epren and his greatest axis, Pigface, who so offstandishly left the courtroom months before as justice slapped its black cockatoo across his face. No liberty, no justice. The Klan branch and Progressive Assembly were still permitted to engage their frubious masquerade. Up and downtown, humiliation was like the black skirt of night. Peace be with Harold Kangaroo for granting him nothing. Praise be to the judicial mockery of his pain before this classic diphtheria. Figuratively, there was no room for any more persecution. Pause it. He was Spanish, and therefore a conquistadora. And now is he to stand apart and be tut-whacked when he most indubitably deserved every ounce of credit for the short-lived imprisonment of Gunter Schwartz? But no sweat, right? There was room for Harold Kangaroo and his aristocratic law enforcement agents to befuddle the public with their hasty ruling and mighty iron gavel, as Neil Armin's African-American Jew stated. Yeah, well, where was Pigface now? He certainly was not in jail. That was for goddamn sure. But Harold Pritchard and his kind would eventually meet their destiny in the near hereafterwards. On Harbinger's Road in Mocut, Mississippi, Harold Kangaroo was stopped by a highway patrol officer. Not your ordinary highway patrol, though. Unless, of course, they all dress like priests these days.
Hey,
We're recording your
P as in Pigface.
I would like to see your identification, sir.
Who the balls are you?
Just an ordinary clergyman who likes the Lord Christ, of course.
Here's your identification. Where's your identification?
How about this here photograph, Your Honor? In it is the back of the black man's head, and that's me there with the knife. I think that fella's name was Arthur. Sound right?
Harold rolled up the window and slammed the gas, sending the car 5 feet before 2 shots rang out and the car spun to a standstill. Back tires were shot to shit. Pigface chuckled as he pranced up to the car door. The sun was just now setting as Harold Kangaroo stumbled out of his Oldsmobile and began running down the road, very slowly, panting like a livestock to be slaughtered. Pigface just laughed at this. And his dark blue eyes gleamed over with a too familiar evil.
You try so hard, Pritchard, but you don't understand.
That's a Bob Dylan quote. And he raised the gun to a latitude approximately level with the back of Harold Pritchard's head. And right there, under the sleeky root sun, a single, then double, then sextant string of bullets rang out amongst the owls, and red juice flowed unforgivingly out the hole in his skull as he dropped to the blackness of a lonely pavement just about to be swallowed by the night. Julio Epren became elated at the news and proved as such that his sick, passionate hate was becoming his motor, and fueled by filth and fury, he set forth for Mississippi to live out his mangled fantasies and to at long last taste his deserved accomplishment. So, of course, the caravan of legal officials never arrived in Moxaloxy, which was where Schwartz had been born, raised, and now hidden. There was an amazing commotion in Milwaukee the day the news of Harold Pritchard came back. Clark Weathersbury packed his shit and headed for Moxaloxy, not because he valued Pritchard's life or vengeance all that much, but rather because he feared disaster without direct communication with Klaus. And this need of comfort would result in more distress than he would have gathered. Now, the dates become of importance, but only because I say so. At a hotel called the Hofkirk, named after a bear who once could play the drums and ate with his toes, a group of assembled in a great room. This is all taking place in downtown central Moxaloxy, which was very smallish indeed. Now, for some reason, Pigface did not know that anyone was in Mississippi, which was amazing considering the number of non-investigative citizens who had carpooled several hundred miles or so, the last of them being Clark Weathersbury, who joined them on the evening I preforementioned. That date was October 7th, 1984, my birthday. For just about around 1 year now, Pigface had been missing. Clark got a room with Henry Wolfsheim, and in the great room it sat. As was the custom in the fours excluding Abe previous illegal investigations, Harrison broke out the maps. It had become their job to go in and civilians arrest George Gunter Schwartz and Carl and Leecher without breaking any major laws. Abe Circo, through old parish documents, had located the very blueprints to Pigface's home in Moxaloxy, and now finally had the chance to utilize his skill as an internal intelligence task force. Harrison George had wanted them to simply wait for Pigface to come out and try to leave town, but Neil Armin thought as usual otherwise. Gentlemen, let me fill you in on the madness I am privy to. For 2 decades of your time, the Monkey Killer has rabadashed your lives with fear. He has lashed out against every powerful individual who stood in his way, and we have the toast in the toaster, if you'll exclaim you understand. He, being of Klux descent, knows nothing of our encroachment, and will have little to do of no defense when upon him we forthcome for a most righteous and, of course, bloodless capturing of a U.S. monster. You, Klaus, cannot tell me you haven't a taste for royal vindication against a man who ran over your wife, who is so fucking fabulous from head to toe that I weep each time she is within my range. No, Neil, I cannot. And you, detective, cannot say you have never dreamt of this man meeting the fate that your brother Arthur met. And Clark, this guy has sent spies to your office too many times for his mere gumdrop of blood to be spared. He came into Felix's office without a goddamn appointment, so I can do the very same, gentlemen. I will, if only you'll help me. Only we can prevent drunk driving anyways, guys. Exactly! Exactly! The enthusiasm I get wet over! Now, boys, can I hear you say, kill Pigface? That's a group of people saying kill Pig. I don't know how else to. Of course, it was Abe Circo's job to enter the house secretly and handcuff Schwartz, which was just about the dumbest plan you could ever think of. I mean, for Frankenchrist's sake, the man was 80 years old and about as agile as an underground casket of permafrost. But despite the handicap of age, confused ethnicity, and bone cancer, he was the most valiant son of a bitch you could think of, and so he gladly accepted his position. Harrison would be at the driveway, so no one could leave the house. Klaus would wait by the back door. Henry would enter the house after Abe, and Neil Armin and Clark would be in the woods nearby. Here, for you illiterate sacks of shit, is a visual aid. I call it La House. And there's this little cartoon drawing. As you can see, there were 6 versus 3, and the night would be full of the crudiest glee. I have no idea what that means. Ausgezeichnet! Somewhere in Norman Rockwell's apartment, Cecilia was masturbating. This is the only sex scene in the book. Something we all wish we could have seen, but did not. And please close your eyes, because I'm about to get pornographic, and there is nothing you can do to stop me. There she was, still fit as a bright red fiddle. Oh, my dear God, she cried a howl of delight at the moon as her fingers moved in and out of her own pink snatch. She dreamed of Klaus again, like she used to in the old days, and her posture jerked forwards. She came at the thought of it all this. Her mouth opened with a string of spit from lip to lip, and she screamed in joyous orgasm. Oh, God! Oh, God! She fell helpless to herself and made her legs spread apart in yearning lust. Eins, zwei, und durch, das ist so ausgezeichnet! It means 1, 2, back and forth, this is so awesome. But in preparation for bed, Phoebe listened in admiration to her mother's high-pitched squeaks. And then she turned to her unfortunate brother and became suddenly ill because he always looked so gross. So the time had come, but according to no present walrus, although no man would have been surprised to find out where Klaus truly had absconded to, Frigmerm encouraged Gary to pursue his dreams, even ones as innocent as wanting to make it a blockbuster night with Klaus Oppenheimer. But Jewish Christ! No one answered the phone these days anyhow. Beep! Klaus, it's Gary. I'm at Frigmerm's. The number can be reached through 911. I love you guys. Bye. The fish's phone number can be reached through 911. And now for the unfortunate truth once more. October 9th, 1984, a terrible darkness fell upon Moxaloxy that night. Abe was shaking in his boots as he hid in the juniper outside the front door. Half a mile away, a strange-looking Spanish man in an ugly helmet sat at his Daewoo, stroking the barrel of his cold shotgun. You'll notice that Daewoos are always the cars in my story. That's because I just think that name is so funny. That man was Julio Eprin. What time is it?
It's 6:27.
Okay. From the driveway, Harrison gave the signal to go in, so Abe swept round the corner, and most ungracefully too, because as he did this, he knocked over a pot of glass ball bearings. Vishnu! He opened the door. Henry Wolfsheim advanced. Okay. Ball bearings. A glass of ball bearings in the middle of the street? Expecting fire and demons, Circo was surprised to presently come upon the sound of screaming people somewhere below the house, and on the megaphone, whatever it was doing in the house, was the famous voice of ex-televangelist prophet, Pigface.
And you people expect my gratitude for your peaceable means. Territorially, you are invaders of this innocent country, and for this you shall die.
Abe headed for the open door from whence the voice bellowed. He inched along the wall with Henry behind him. There was a hustling of feet below, a massaging of various fruits and vegetables, and then the voice as Henry and Abe Circo descended the steps.
You look so sad, Abdul. My condolences. Perhaps you should have not come into this country in search of gold. You were better off in Uganda. Here there are just a bunch of ghosts like me.
And as the intensity grew heavier, Henry felt the warm run of Abe's piss hitting his legs. Good God, stop that! You're pissing all over me, you asshole! Round the last step, the two were subjected to a gruesome scene. Carl and Leecher walked amongst a group of Africans, about 12 total, and fired their guns at the frightened men as the moment came when all 12 were dead or dying, and Abe and Henry froze as the eyes turned and Pigface saw them both.
Holy shitballs. Who do we have here? Leecher. Why is my doctor and Injun at the footsteps?
You mean the steps foot?
Why are they here?
I don't fucking know. Ask Carl.
Carl is a deaf mute, dickass. Hello, Dr. Wolfsheim. My, you look peaked. Tell me the truth. Did you come to smoke up with me or to kill me this time?
I brought you this sacrifice. Hey, suck my antiquity, traitor!
Leecher, which one's lying?
Henry.
No, both. Both are lying. You know, Henry, I really had believed in you. I said, screw Weathersbury. You were the best damn doctor I ever had. And now you've come for my hide. Genuinely, do you expect my gratitude for seeing you?
Don't kill me, Gunther. I helped you.
Shut your face, American.
What?
Give me a break, Henry. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to have Leecher kill you and Carl kill the engine.
Hey, fuck you, man! There came, just then, a heavenly screaming from above, and tumbling headfirst down the stairs was Julio Epren, who, without possible orientation, fired his shotgun 4 times, all 4 of which tore through Leecher's flesh like a shark jaw, sending him spattered to the wall. The next 5 gunshots pelted Carl in the face and chest, and sent him in rug flaps of skin to the floor, where he unraveled like a coiled rope. Schwartz hooked the shotgun and broke the bridge of Epren's nose, and then mad-dashedly ran for the door. Of course, he immediately saw Harrison at the front door, so he ran to the back door. The bottleneck of Louis Chateau really hurts when it slices your temple with its alcohol-stained glass shards. Klaus was beaming. There were 14 dead people in that house on October 9th. They were still there on October 16th. Isn't that sick?
Wait, the black people were killed?
Yeah, all 12 black people in the basement were killed by
They were
fire.
already dead?
No, they were shot in front of Abe and Henry Wolfsheim. When Schwartz was returned to courts in Madison, Wisconsin, Judge Gregorius, under the pressure of Abe Circo and Judd Fathernrich, who was the only relative of Harold Pritchard, sentenced Schwartz not to immediate death, but to exile to a town called Grossbard in Kuwait. Robert Slauson was not seen again till the trial regarding Carl and Leecher and their murder of 12 innocent